Dagda, you agus tá fáilte romh is mis an scéile. Hello, and you're very welcome. I'm the little storyteller coming to you from our live at five sessions with the Irish Pagan School. And you know what I'm going to say. If you've seen these videos before, I'm going to start it as I almost always do. It was fascinating. It was awesome and it was amazing. And we've gone through so many different pieces of context around threshold magic. But the big thing to really take on board is that when we talk about thresholds, we're talking about boundaries. We're talking about the spaces where boundaries form around ourselves, around our homes, around our environments, around our principles, and then where and how we allow access or crossing of those circumstances. We have touched on various forms of personal boundaries, be it a multifaceted, amazing kind of ritual practice around a home space, and using as many tools as are required to do so, ones that will enhance and to innovate the entire process. We've also talked about personal boundaries, going as small down as straps on the backpack that the person was wearing, or the pillowcase with the Sharpie marked on it to perform some kind of safety and security for their own space. We did, as a community, touch on some impactful circumstances and the challenge around setting healthy boundaries. Empathetic people being exposed to not even aggressive, maybe just unintentional vampirism of energy, becoming the emotional soak point for people because they are just that empathetic, and how you need to set boundaries of awareness around that. You need to be able to say, this is my healthy protection. And what I always personally said to this other individual, and what I will say to you in the recording, is if someone does not respect your boundaries, they do not respect you. And that has to be a very firm baseline. And that should be a very telling comment, because if someone is constantly willing to overrule you, overstep you, go against your consent, against your own will, and violate your personal boundaries, they don't respect you. And there needs to be a serious conversation around having those anywhere near your boundaries in future. We talked about big, scary voices, which was great. And people being aware of, should they be bringing their big, scary voice to their boundaries? And the answer was yes. Absolutely, full on, emphatically yes. Because it is your home, not even your house, with a lovely definition on that. Like, your house is the bricks and mortars around you, or wherever you happen to go to build your home. Your home is you, your fuzzy and scaly family members, your space, your relationships, your loved ones. That is what you defend when you form these boundaries. That is what you're dealing with when you're talking about threshold. And so where else are you not going to go big? You should always go big when it comes to your self-protection, in whatever way that is. For me, in my personal experience as a squishy, empathetic person, I had to establish multiple layers of boundary and threshold magic. The most intimate, the kind of most intimate one is the energetic embodiment or visualization of plate mail armor around me. So whenever I go through my regular cleansing rituals, or my shower, because it's daily for me, given the emotional squishiness that I go through, especially in our world at the moment. The visualization is this energetic plate mail armor. Then we go further out with the Star Trek style shields, as much like another friend of mine. Then we go further out into spaces that I develop and control. One thing that has come into my practice very recently, which is my share with my community, is the idea of a murias. And so in the Irish tradition, I work for a god known as the good god on Dagda Moor, and the Dagdas treasured the cauldron of the Dagda came from a place called Murias. Murias is said in the lore to be a pinnacled fortress, and it is said of the fortress that every battle was won outside of it. These are all we know. Those are the only words I have found on Murias at the moment, but it's very fascinating. It is a pinnacled fortress that no one got into. Every battle was won outside of the fortress. So if that's not informed, solid, sturdy boundaries, I'm not sure what is. And so in my own personal practice, I'm working with this word Murius. I take my spiritual tools and I energetically create a space around me for a purpose, for an intention, and I call it a Murius. At which point, that is now safe space. That is what I have energetically created, and that is a boundary. As big as that needs to be, it has been as big as the Mount of Rathcroghan, which I got permission for. I didn't go pop up energetic boundaries, and I took it down afterwards. I didn't leave energetic boundaries on the Mount of Rathcrohan. Um, but it's something to be aware of because boundaries are everywhere. We are actually complete creatures of energy bound in forms of flesh and blood. And then we are part of communities, we're part of families, we're part of nations. So there is always angles, there's always edges, there always has to be boundaries. And being aware of how you actively engage with yourself, being aware of how you actually actively connect and protect and defend your boundaries is a very healthy and important thing to be aware of. And it is 100% worth your regular effort because that is the only way that you carry on being the most effective, beautiful, and brilliant person that you are in our world. So I will say thank you very much. Gurav Mahagas. Agus Lan. Bye.